Hey there, and welcome back to On the Trail. Short episodes answering common questions therapists have about websites, SEO, and online marketing as they grow their private practices. I'm your host, Daniel Fava, founder of Private Practice Elevation. All right, so picture this scenario. You launch a new website, it looks great, you love it, your service pages are dialed in, you move on to running your practice. Then 6 months later, you check in and you realize you're not really getting clients from the site. You're not getting inquiries. What happened? Well, the question a lot of practice owners ask or assume the answer to is, can I just set up my website and just let it do its thing? And the short answer to that question is partly. So I believe that there are some things you can set up and other things that need consistent attention if you're going to get a proper ROI on your website project or make sure that your website is working for you and your practice. And so that's what we are talking about today in today's episode. Okay, your website, the thing that you can set on your website is really the foundation of the website. So when it's built well, these pieces don't need constant attention. And there are really three main pieces that I see. That's the design and the layout. So a clean, professional design that reflects your brand. This doesn't need to change every few months, unless you have a major rebranding project going on, you change your name, something like that. Or, maybe every few years, if you've kind of land on your website, doesn't really reflect you anymore. Maybe you might make some tweaks, but probably not a huge overhaul. So that's something you can set. If that's done well at the outset of a project, your website, when it launches, should reflect your brand and who you are. So design, layout, that shouldn't change, unless there's very specific cases. Maybe you offer a new service that's very different from what you do, like maybe workshops or something like that. So you might need, new layouts created to offer that service. Site structure. So your navigation, how pages connect to each other, your calls to action. If you get that right at launch, again, that shouldn't really change too much. So that's the structure of the website, where the pages live, all that stuff. And another thing that you can mostly set is your service pages and your homepage. And these should be optimized from the start with the right keywords, clear messaging, and a strong call to action. You might tweak them over time, obviously. There might be some changes that you make just as your practice changes and evolves, but really the core of it, the core of who you are and the core of those services, should remain the same. So those things can set. And, with any project that we do at Private Practice Elevation, we really try to nail these on the outset, when it comes to copywriting that is fueled by, backed by SEO and conversion, best practices, nail that once and it should pretty much remain the same. So that's your foundation. You can set your foundation well and then build upon that. And so the things that you most likely can't set and forget is number one is ongoing content, specifically articles and SEO content that really expand on your services. So Google rewards websites that consistently publish relevant, helpful content. Your service pages tell Google what you do. Remember, we set those service pages in the foundation. Your articles really show Google that you are an authority and an expert on those topics. So each article you publish is a chance to rank for a new keyword, answer a question your ideal client's searching for, and link back to your service pages, which really strengthens those pages because Google says, oh, wow, this private practice has a lot of information related to this service, has a lot of experience and authority related to this service/topic. And when nothing changes on your site for 6 months, Google notices your competitors who are publishing content start to outrank you. And the website launch is the starting point. It's the foundation you build upon. And this is one of the reasons why at Private Practice Elevation, we have really kind of honed in what we do to creating that foundation, a website, copywriting, the design development project, and then SEO, which is building upon that foundation to really maximize what the website is doing. So, I've seen over the years, the 10-ish years that I've been doing this, sometimes we do see a pattern with certain clients, where they think that, okay, I can just launch a website and then set it and forget it, and then 6 months after launch, we might get an email, which I always hate to hear, is saying, oh, the site's not bringing in clients. It's not doing what you said it was going to do. And then when I go and I kind of audit the site and look at things, nothing's changed since we launched. There's no new content, no new pages. The site's exactly as it was, which Google sees that as, okay, this person's not making changes. Maybe they're not a business anymore. So the foundation may have been solid, but then nothing was built upon it. So what does not forgetting it actually look like? So just, simple and practical. Publish one to two, three blog posts a month tied to your services and answering the very specific questions that your ideal clients have. If you can only do one blog post a month, that's fine. Make it detailed, make it in depth with the switch and the shift to AI and how people are using AI and to research and things. You want to make sure that you go into detail. We don't just write fluff articles anymore just for a keyword. Like we want to answer those specific questions, be really helpful. And when you create those articles, each post can link to the relevant service. So if you write an article about marriage therapy or related to couples therapy, you want to call out that you offer couples therapy in your town and then link that over to that couples therapy service page that you have. And if you don't have that service page, you want to build that. And review performance periodically. That's another thing that, if you just set it and then forget it, you don't actually know, is your website doing the work that it's supposed to be doing? So when we work on SEO and visibility and AI visibility for our clients, it's always based on the data. What is the data telling us? Are people using the website? Are they not using the website? Are they engaged or not engaged? Because just getting traffic to the website is part of SEO. We consider that a vanity metric. So traffic, and a lot of people can just get traffic to the website. But if we're seeing a lot of traffic come to the website, but then we're digging into the engagement on the website and we're seeing that people aren't staying on the website, clicking around, well, then some work needs to be done there. Again, you might have a lot of traffic, so maybe that's doing pretty good for you, but are people actually using the website? So you can't set and forget Google Analytics. That's something you do want to check in, maybe if it's just on a quarterly basis, just understanding what's going on. And, obviously if you work with somebody, you should be getting reports periodically that really show those KPIs. All right. So like we said, most websites, there's a foundation aspect to it that we can set, but then there's the ongoing aspect of using your website that we cannot forget about that. So can set it, forget it, and work for the foundation. Yes. Get the design, structure, core pages right. But if you're really looking to maximize your visibility with AI and search engines, consistent content is really where that ongoing growth can come from. So the website launch is the heart. What you do after really determines whether people actually find you. And then, when it comes to SEO, there's a host of other things you could do off of your website, which we could save for another day and another episode. I hope that you found this helpful as you think about your website and really reaching your ideal clients. And if you need help with a great online presence, if maybe you've found that people aren't engaged on your website, you're ready to level up, we would love to talk. So if you go to privatepracticeelevation.com/kickoff, you can schedule a free 15-minute call where we can learn a little bit more about your practice, where you're at, where you want to go, and come up with a plan to get there. Thanks so much for listening. Now go elevate your practice.